Hello students. Today we will be looking at 8.6, surface area of prisms. So go ahead and turn to 8.6, have your pen or pencil ready. You can pause right here and then we will begin. Okay, so hopefully you are ready to go and you have returned to 8.6. We'll start with our essential question today, which is, how do I find the surface area? How do I find the surface area of a prism? But before we start looking into how to find a surface area of a prism, we'll have to talk about what a surface area is. And a surface area is the sum of all the areas of the sides of a prism. And what that means is we're just going to find the area of each individual side, then we add them all together. So it's pretty straightforward. So let's go ahead and look at number one. The way I suggest that we do these is if we draw our net. We've done these a couple of times in class, but now you see why we have made these nets is because it's much easier to see the surface area or to find the surface area when we kind of like open up the shape. So it's kind of like we've unwrapped this box and laid out all its sides. So when we look at this, we see that we have a height of 6, a width of 3 inches, and a length of 5 inches. So now if I label all my sides within my net, we know that the width is 3, the height is 6, and since these are all squares or rectangles as I move along, I know if that's a 6, then this will be a 6, and if I move down the line, that's going to be a 6, there's a 6, and then we have another 6. And then we know that all these shorter sides will be 3, so I have a 3 here, I'll have a 3 here, a 3 there, a 3 there. So now we can start seeing how we have all these sides together. And then we have our length, so that's going to be our 5. There's our 5 for this square, our 5 here, and our 5 here. So now if we look at this, and it's kind of starting to get kind of jumbly, like there's just way too many numbers going on. So what I suggest is you just need 2 sides for each, you just need to label 2 for each one. So if we go through and say I just need my length and my width for this rectangle, so I won't need this one or that one. I'll need my length and width for this rectangle, so we'll put our 3 there. I've got my length and my width for this rectangle, so that looks good. Now I have, here's my length and width for that rectangle, so I won't need this. Oh, we want to keep that 3, because that's for this rectangle right here. And then if I look at this rectangle, I got my 3 and my 6 there, and then my 5 and my 6 there. Okay, so now we just have to find the area of each rectangle. So let's go ahead and do that. Well, we know that the area of a rectangle is equal to length times width. So let's do that for each one. So I have 6 times 3 is 18. 3 times 5 is 15. 5 times 6 is 30. 5 times 3 is 15. So on and so forth. 3 times 6 is 18. And 5 times 6 is 30. So now what I can do is just add up all these areas, and then we're done. So I have 15 plus 18 plus 30 plus 15 plus 18 plus 30. Now if we add all of these up, we will get 15 plus 18 plus 30. we get that the surface area is 126. We want to make sure that we use our units, and we're in inches. And since we're finding area, we know our units will have our squares. So 126 inches squared. So now let's go ahead and see if we can look at one ourselves where we don't have the net already drawn. So go down to number 2, please. And I want to draw the net for this. So the first shape I like to draw, I'm going to go ahead and draw in so I can really see the three-dimensional properties of this. The first shape I like to draw is my base shape. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my base rectangle like so. And so if that's my base rectangle, well, I know my length across is 5. And my width of the rectangle is 2. Now what I like to do is draw the sides for my prism. So I see that I have a rectangle right here, so I have this rectangle and I have this rectangle. We know that that's a 2. We've already got that 2 for this side, and then we know this side will be a 3. And we'll do the same over here. We'll have a 3 by 2. So we have the base of our prism right here, and then we have the 2 sides. Side 1 right there, and side 2 right here. So so we have 3 more sides left. We have this front side, we have the back side, and we have our top. So I'm going to go ahead and attach the back side. That's right here. There's our back side. And we know that that's going to be a 5 by 3. So we can go ahead and mark that with a 3 right there. And then on this side we'll put our front. There's our front right here. That's this front face right there. And then we'll attach to that the top. So it's kind of like we're unwrapping it. I'm unwrapping, I'm disconnecting it at this side, and I'm unfolding it this way. So you can imagine this side coming all the way out. So here's our front piece, and then right here we'll attach the top. So we know the front piece is going to be our 5 by, so if it's the front, it's a 5 by 3, and if it's the top, it's going to be our 5 by 2. So we have this 5 still, but this length is now 2. Okay, so now once we've drawn our net, we just have to find the area of each shape. And what I see is all rectangles. So again, we're going to use our area of a rectangle is equal to length times width. So we just have to multiply each. So I get 15 for this rectangle. 2 times 3 is 6 for that rectangle. 5 times 2 would be 10 for this rectangle. 5 times 3 would be 15 for that rectangle. 5 times 2 would be 10 for this rectangle. And last 2 times 3 would be 6 for this last side rectangle. And we add all these together. 15 plus 10 plus 15 plus 10 plus 6 plus 6. And we get 30, 40, 50, 62. Make sure we have our units, it's feet, and since we're finding area, again that will be squared. So the key to these is really just being able to imagine how this will open up and unfold. So I'm going to skip number 3 so we can keep moving. I want to keep the video as short as possible. I'm going to go ahead and turn to the back side, and we can look at our triangular prisms. Now the thing with the triangular prisms is we have 2 different shapes we're working with. We're going to be working with triangles and rectangles. So let's write our formulas that we'll need. We'll need our area of a rectangle is length times width. And we need the area of a triangle is equal to base times height divided by 2. So we already have our net drawn for this one. Now, one thing we have to make sure we remember is that the base and the height of a triangle, the base isn't always the side that's facing down. It's really where we meet at a right angle. So our base and height is really 4 and 3 for this triangle. So if I do 4 times 3, so for this triangle, we would say the area of this triangle is equal to 4 times 3 divided by 2. So that's going to be 6. And we have the same triangle over here, so we already know that's 6. And then if we find the area of this shape, it's a rectangle, so we're going to do our length times our width. That's 3 times 3 is 9. If this side is 3, we know that this side's going to be 3, so we can say 5 times 3 is 15. And we know as we move along, if that side's 3, that side's 3, so that makes this side 3, and 4 times 3 is 12. And now it's the same property, where we just add all our numbers up. So I have 6 plus 15 plus 6 plus 9 plus 12. We add all these up. And we get 54. Let me double check that to make sure. Six plus 6 plus 15 plus 9 plus 12. I'm sorry, I did not add correctly. This is really 48. And again, we have to use our units. We have no units written for this, so we'll say units squared. That's a 48 right here. So let's try to go ahead and get through just one of these quickly. Let's look at number 4. And it's the same principle as before, where I really want to I'm going to draw in my dotted line so we can see how it's a really 3D. What I really want to do is unfold this. So I first start with my base shape. So I have this rectangle that is my base shape. And then on each side, this looks kind of like a tent. I have my triangle on this side, then I'll have a triangle on that side. There's my front and back triangles. Then I have the roof of my tent. So I have this right side right here that looks like a rectangle coming off. And then on the other side, I'd have another rectangle. So we can imagine if we folded this up, we would get our tent shape. So we know that the height of this is 3, and the base of this is 6. Same with this one, 3 and 6. We know that this length is 10. And then right here it tells us the length of the side of our rectangle, so that would be 4. And then these two rectangles are the same, so we can say this is 10 and 4. So let's go ahead and start finding all our areas. Well, I have 10 times 4 is 40. That's for our rectangles, length times width. And then I have length times width for our inner rectangle, so that's going to be 60. We already know this is 40. And then we're going to use our area of our triangle formula. Base times height, 6 times 3 divided by 2. 18 divided by 2 would be 9. That's our area of our triangle. So we get that this triangle is 9 and this triangle is 9. So we have a 9 for this one and a 9 for that triangle. Now we just add all these up. 40, 60, 40, 9, and 9, and we get 100, 140 plus 18 is 158 centimeters squared. So thank you very much. I hope that makes sense, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great evening.